Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Voxcaster. I'm your host Dan, and joining me today is Brian Robichaud and Justin Gray.
Hey, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
On today's episode, we're going to be doing another Codex review. We're going to be going through the Death Watch, giving our opinions on it, and just like before, just to see what we think is going to see more play on the tabletop and see if we can come up with some combos while reading through it. So, starting right off, we will be going through detachment abilities, and we'll try to go in order as much as we can. We'll refer back to the Space Marine Codex if need be, because again, in a lot of these supplements, it literally just says refer back to the actual Space Marine Codex. So, starting off, and I think honestly, right from the get-go, the mission tactics is actually going to be very, very interesting on how they're actually going to use it. It literally just says, do not use the rules in Codex Space Marines to determine which combat doctrine is active for your army during each battle round. Instead, at the start of each battle round, select a Devastator Doctrine, Tactical Doctrine, or Assault Doctrine. The combat doctrine you select is active for your army until the end of that battle round. Note, however, when selecting a combat doctrine at the start of the battle round, Point 1. You cannot select the Devastator Doctrine to be active for your army more than once during the battle. 2. You cannot select the Tactical Doctrine to be active in your army more than twice during the battle. And 3. You cannot select the Assault Doctrine to be active for your army more than 3 times during the battle. So to me, that's kind of interesting, because when you're playing the basic Chaos space, I got Chaos on the mind, guys.
That's because you're building this chaos.
Yeah, whenever you're on your third Star Collecting box, you start seeing stuff. But when you're playing Space Marines, you always had to follow the exact same order from when actually start to end. So these guys, you're still only able to use them pretty much the exact same amount of times. But I honestly think it'll be key in clutch situations where you can determine which one it is per turn. Like, what do you guys think? Like, do you think that's huge, or do you think that it's really not of a big change than it actually seems like it could be?
I think it's a pretty big change. Being able to choose which doctrine you're in any turn you want to be is pretty important. I haven't really read a lot of their stuff, but being able to do it.
Because starting off right off turn 1, it's always actually, you're a Space Marine player, Justin. Which one do we start off with? I don't play enough Space Marines,
Heavy,
obviously.
he always complains.
Yeah, you start off in Devastator Doctrine turn 1.
Yeah. And that's pretty much the advantage to heavy weapons, right?
Yeah. Well, Iron Hands and Imperial Fists get their big bonuses in Heavy Doctrine.
Okay.
Like, for example, my Iron Hands get the move and shoot without any penalty. Reroll 1s for any heavy guns.
Okay, so it's not one specific rule for that. It's just whenever you're in a specific doctrine, each chapter or each thing will benefit from that specific doctrine in their own way, essentially?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, Ultramarines get a bonus in the Tactical Doctrine, and Blood Angels, White Scars, I think Space Wolves, too, all get their innovation in the Assault Doctrine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just big for armies like Justin, where their army is built to be in that heavy doctrine in the first turn, but that's also the turn when not a lot's happening because stuff's in reserves and stuff. So it'd be interesting to see how Deathwatch play with it. But.
And I'm sure, too, depending on, there's probably going to be a lot of stratagem and traits just in general that are going to be benefiting from each of those doctrines. So depending on when you want to use them, you just have to be very smart when you actually want to nominate it, especially where it's at the beginning of the turn. And to my knowledge, I don't think you're going to be able to change it mid-turn, but...
No, it's at the beginning of the turn that you select it.
Okay, so jumping straight afterwards into stratagems. So pretty much we'll go through each one, give our thoughts on them, and then just continue down the line. First one is going to be Death to the Alien. Use a stratagem in the fight phase when a Death Watch unit from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, while that unit is within engagement range of any Tyranids, Eldari, Orcs, Necrons, or Tau, add 1 to the attack character of model in that unit. And if everybody knows, or most people should actually know, Deathwatch essentially is just the Xeno killers. So a lot of this stuff is going to be really revolving around specific Xenos factions. And I kind of did a brief look through a couple of them, and you're actually going to see like some stratagems and some abilities are going to be specific Eldari, specific Tau, specific Orc. Exactly. But it's actually kind of cool. Death of the Alien is just one single one that's essentially adding attacks to all Xenos in general.
Only 1 CP too.
And especially like I said, like you throw out a blob of 10 to 20 guys, 1 attack each, like that's going to build up pretty freaking quick.
Yeah, that's on assault intercessors.
And
That's gonna give them.
again, if you do an assault doctrine, again, that's where this stuff can be very situational. You save assault doctrine for turn 2, you put that on, you start using some stratagems like this. 1 attack will probably turn into multiple attacks after that, and
Yeah, it turns into like 51 attacks on a 10-man.
ooh, nasty. Next one, and here's my first screw up word of the day: procrastinating volley. I know I definitely butchered that one. Nobody going to back me up here? Come on,
No,
guys. That's why I bring you guys on.
Why do I try
I'm
to
just
say that? I think it's prognosticating, but not
I'm,
not procrastinating. But
I'm not even gonna attempt it.
pretty much this one is: use this stratagem in your shooting phase. When a Death Watch unit from the army is selected to shoot, until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a range attack against an Eldari unit, you can ignore any or all hit rolls and blitz skill modifiers for attack. Right off the bat, I'm sure, Brian, you're going to feel this one like I do. When it comes to Venoms into -1s,
yeah,
we
even
lose
our
that
lightning
against
fast
that. Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
Mandrake's
lightning
natural
fast doesn't
one.
work.
No, but not even just lightning fast. It's just because like a lot of times like Venoms come built in with the -1. Then you can use lightning fast reflex CP, but even at that, it doesn't matter what you use. You're not going to be affected by it at all by the looks of it.
Mandrakes also have -1, but yeah, where they cap you at the -1+1 thing now, it kind of hurts us because we can't just stack it like we used to.
Mm. But I mean,
But
like,
you can. Oh, sorry.
well,
You can still
I know what you're
stack
going to say,
it.
Jason. Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
just
So
is not
essentially,
as effective.
yeah.
Sorry.
Well, that's the thing. Like the stacking comes in beneficial. Like I said, like I can stack 2, and if you go minus me 1, I'm still getting that +1. So that's pretty much what you're saying there.
Yeah.
Next one down the list: synaptic surveillance. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase or the fight phase. When a Death Watch unit from your army is selected to shoot or fight, until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack against a Tyranid Synapse unit, an unmodified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds the target.
I
And
think
from
that's
my
pretty
understanding, like I haven't played Tyranids in a long time, but pretty much almost everything in it has Synapse, correct? Or am I wrong to say that?
Hive Tyrants, Tyranid Warriors. They're most of their big creatures like Trigon.
Okay. So I'm assuming
They all
just like
have.
basic units, the core stuff doesn't have Synapse, or they just kind of benefit from the Synapse ability, I'm guessing.
Yeah, they benefit from the Synapse ability.
Okay.
So I see this working against like your mass fire, like mass small arm fire against like a Tyranid Hive Tyrant. You're
Okay.
just fishing for those 6s, and
Mm.
then you're just gonna wound it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Now,
again, at 1 CP, so.
going back to that prognosticating volley, it's ignoring any or all hit rolls. I think
Exactly.
even
So
if we
even if we
stacked our
stack, it
stuff,
doesn't matter.
it's
No.
not applicable.
Nope. Next one down for adaptive tactics for 2 CP. Use the stratagem in a command phase. If a watch master unit from your army is on the battlefield, change the battlefield role selected for the purpose of Xenos Hunter's chapter tactic for your army. You can only use the stratagem once. Okay, so here is a way that you can actually change the chapter tactic, but it's only once per game for 2 CP. So I kind of figured there was going to be at least something to allow you to switch it, but by looks of it so far, it's going to give you that one chance in the game. to really benefit from it. Because, like I said, if you're in the shooting phase and you want to get as much shots off, and then if you get a really good charge off and you really need to get those extra attacks in to use that command ability earlier, here's your perfect chance to kick it in. Next one, Atonement through Honor for 1 CP. Use the stratagem in your opponent's charge phase. Select one Deathwatch unit from your army that contains a black shield. That unit can perform a heroic intervention in this phase if it were a character unit.
That's an interesting one. The fact that you can just throw or infantry at my charges is pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe I didn't want to fight that at that time, and you're just throwing it at me.
That's in your opponent's charge phase, yeah. Next one down. Sanction of the Black Vault, 1 CP. Use the stratagem before the battle when you are mustering your army. If your warlord has a Deathwatch keyword, select one Deathwatch model in your army that has the word Sergeant in their profile. That model can have one of the following relics of the Watch Fortress, even though they are not a character: Artificer Armor, Mastercrafted Weapon, Digital Weapons, Bane Bolts of Ira, Artificer Bolt Catch. Each army must be unique, and you cannot use the stratagem to give a model 2 relics. You can only use the stratagem once.
Yeah, that seems to be a recurring theme in Space Marines, where there's
Yeah,
a stratagem that allows any, like, I know Iron Hands get it, White Scars have it, I'm pretty sure all the other ones have it, where you can give a sergeant a relic for 1 CP. So it's just, they're continuing that trend.
And you're probably going to see something similar in every codex, even to come, like non-Space Marine or anything at all. I think they just want to give you the ability to use more than just, like, say, one relic per game.
And I think it's giving you an ability to put a relic in a unit that you wouldn't necessarily normally be able to. So it's kind of surprising too. You can really buff out just a plain Jane unit.
All right, so next one is a Vigil Unmatched. Use the stratagem after nominating a Deathwatch character model that is not a named character to be your warlord. You can generate one additional warlord trait for them from the Deathwatch Warlord Traits table. Each warlord trait in your army must be unique. If randomly generated, reroll duplicate results. You can only use the stratagem once. So again, kind of following the same suit with the relics. They're trying to give you the chance to use more relics, more warlord traits. Just kind of, it almost seems to do just more buffs, more extras. I guess
Seems to be
easiest
a
way to say it.
recurring theme. Even with the Mortarion data sheet that was leaked yesterday, he gets an extra warlord trait on top of his too.
Yeah, it runs through all the Space Marine ones as well.
That's going to be pretty exciting. Come see in our Drakari Codex.
Oh man, I can't wait. I can't wait. There's been too much Space Marine talk, but we need some Xenos love here. Not anti-Xenos love like we're doing right now.
Hurts our soul.
Next one is Stem the Green Tide for 2 CP. Use the stratagem in the charge phase. After an enemy orc unit has declared a charge against one or more Deathwatch units from your army, you can either one, the Deathwatch unit that were selected as a target of that charge can fire Overwatch at the orc unit. Man, I'm tired. Or 2, until the end of the phase, if any models from that orc army are destroyed as a result of Overwatch, subtract 2 from charge rolls made from that unit.
That's
okay.
That's crazy, because if you read it carefully, it's the Deathwatch units. So it specifies multiple units. So if a orc player does multiple charges, all of those units get to Overwatch.
Yeah, they have to pay the CP though. That's pretty interesting.
It's 2 CP, but keep in mind, like what Justin's saying is right now, currently, to do Overwatch, it's 1 CP, one unit. That is it. But like
this is
Justin
basically saying, like the entire army can shoot.
Well, not necessarily. It's essentially
only the
orc that are targeted.
ones.
Yeah.
So like, say for example, you have like a blob of 30 boys.
But really,
you're charging them
is it
into
just
like
30 boys coming in, or is it going to be like 90?
it's you're nominating a one unit coming in, but say if you go to target, say 3 separate units because you want to tag them all, You spend 2
Yeah.
CP instead of the 1, but now all 3 can actually shoot Overwatch. But I think the big one too is if any models are actually destroyed, you are now subtracting 2 from the charge rolls to make it even harder for them to get in. So
Until
I,
the
I
end
think
of the
that's a,
phase,
a
yeah.
nice little bonus to it. So at first I thought you can only do one or the other, but after reading it now, it's like, no, you get both of these benefits from 2 CPs.
Yeah, it's pretty big. So
Yeah,
But
it's
again,
a pretty
very
big.
situational. You can only
Yeah,
use it against orcs.
because when the orcs green tide, what's the closest they can get to you? Is it 9 inches like everything else, or
I believe it's 9 inches.
so that alone, if they pop that, you're facing like an 11-inch
An
jet.
11-inch start, yeah.
Yeah. But keep in mind, say if they're like they're making their foot slogging their way up, they're 3 inches away. Like
It still
it would be
becomes
nice
a
to get the
5-inch
Overwatch
jet.
ability, but yeah. uh, next
Yeah,
one is
just the Overwatch alone on that stratagem is pretty good. The added -2 to the charge roll,
it's
it's like
bonus
the
right
icing on
there.
the cake.
Yep.
Yeah,
But again, orcs only, so the chances of like most players won't never even be able to use that stratagem.
No, it's definitely a gotcha.
Oh yeah, and that's what I'm kind of noticing right now with Death Watch is just so many like, oh, you're playing this army? I can finally use this one stratagem.
Yeah.
So next one down is Priority Doctrine Adaptation for 1 CP. Use the stratagem in the command phase. Select one Death Watch unit from your army, then select one Combat Doctrine. Until the start of the next command phase, that unit gains the bonus of the Combat Doctrine you selected instead of the active Combat Doctrine. You can only use the stratagem if every unit from your army has a Death Watch keyword, excluding Agents of the Imperium and unaligned units. So again, it seems like here's another chance to actually get it to switch, but it's only for 1 unit.
interesting. Seems like they're trying to go back to what they implemented a long time ago when they first brought in these doctrines, and you could pick and choose. I like how they're doing it with Death Watch.
Mm.
Well, when they first introduced doctrines, if you were in heavy and you left heavy, you could never go back.
Yeah, because you had the choice to stay in the doctrine back in 8th, but like you said,
Yeah.
once you went to the next one, there's no going backwards.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool. Like I said, like say 3/4 of your army, you're going to benefit more from like the assault doctrine or whichever one tactical, but you got that one unit that's like flanking off somewheres, and you just needed to have that separate doctrine alone. It'd be perfect chance to actually do it here. So no, like I said, like I like how they're actually doing it, and it makes you really have to think how to deploy your army, how you actually want to essentially game plan depending on who you're playing against. Obviously, every doctrine is going to benefit you some different way, and especially depending on the unit that you're using to engage other units. But it's just nice to know that if your opponent screws you over somehow and they're able to counter something that you're doing on a whim with the CP point, you can actually be like, oh, screw this. I'm going to go to this now because if I don't, I'm screwed type thing.
Mm.
Yeah. It pretty much gives them a cheaper adaptive strategy from the normal Space Marine Codex.
Mm.
Because in the normal Space Marine Codex, it's 2 CP to do something similar, but you need your Warlord on the board. But this one
Oh,
is
okay.
just
No, you just choose a unit.
bam. Yeah, and it's 1 CP.
Mm.
Mm.
And I think a lot of these things, like the is for 1 CP so far, like they're definitely getting their work done for just 1 point.
To me, it's the next strat that really has its worth if you're playing against Tau.
Again, yep. So next one down is targeting scramblers for 1 CP. Use this stratagem in your opponent's shooting phase. After a Tau Empire unit has resolved its shooting attacks against a Deathwatch unit from your army, remove all marker-like counters from that Deathwatch unit. So if your
Oh.
opponent's Tau and you rolled really hot and you get whatever, like 4, 5, 6 marker lights on them, you can just pop 1 CP, be like, nope, you got nothing on me now.
Well, there's a lot of Tau stratagems too. Like there's one that adds D3 marker light hits. So this played correctly, you can really hurt a Tau army.
Well, especially because a lot of times with Tau, and especially if you're looking with marker lights, a lot of times you're going to be focusing just on one single unit to just be able to like pop off all your marker lights and just be like, you're dead.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
that's
you
what's
park
kind
up.
of cool about this. It says after Tau unit has resolved its shooting attacks. So it's like the attacks are done. So now it's like it's up to the Tau player to be like, oh crap, do I now focus somewhere else? Because I'm already screwed and lost everything here. Do I continue to try to do more? And then yeah, no, it's
Well, Justin played Tao. You have a bunch of those little characters that put marker lights on you, right?
You usually have pathfinders that can do it. You have marker light drones that can do it, and there's a couple. Like I think the Fireblade used to be able to do it,
So you'll have to
but it's
kind of like gamble whether or not they're going to fire the Riptide into you before they finish putting all those marker lights on you or
but
not.
but keep in mind, like I'm rereading it right now, and it actually says after Tau Empire Unit 1. So if you have one unit shoot, you have to use it right away to take off the marker lights. But then when you use it, then if you proceed to shoot it with like three more units with marker lights, those now stay on.
Yeah, and where you can only use a
well,
strat per phase. That's what I'm
Exactly.
saying. Like if he's got more than one character putting marker lights on
Mhm.
you, chances are you're going to gamble and wait till you got like four of them on you before you pop this strat.
exactly. Most Tau players will have multiple units, which have like maybe three. Like if you're running a marker light drone unit, you could possibly have up to 10. I don't see a lot of people doing that. It's just small units.
Yeah.
Mm.
So they fire all the marker lights first before they start choosing the big guns. So
Mhm.
all you have to do is wait until that last guy fires his last marker light, and then you're like, by the way, they're all
Yeah,
gone.
no, that's true. That is a way to actually remove multiple unit targeting off of you. Like now that you mentioned, because like I said, I had to reread it a couple times to make sure it's like when is it actually usable. But if you had like four units actually shoot and get marker lights on you, but when that fourth one finally finishes, then you can pop the stratagem and
Yeah.
remove everything from previous. So
But
okay,
you're gambling whether or not that guy's going to shoot his Riptides at you while you have those three, or are you going to wait for
no,
that fourth one?
true, because you can wait off for that fourth unit, then he ends up going somewhere else with it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Because
But again,
typically they mark whatever they want to kill, and that's
oh
going to
yeah.
die.
So next one down, we have Overkill. Use the stratagem in the shooting phase or the fight phase after making attacks with a Death Watch unit from your army against Necron units. Your opponent must subtract one from reanimation protocol rolls made from the Necron unit as a result of those attacks. That could be huge, but again, very situational.
Yeah.
That is actually really good against Necrons because considering now Necrons get to do their reanimate in between individual attacks from a
Hmm.
unit.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to get a unit, especially everybody's running blobs of like 20 warriors and just it takes your whole army to take out half and you just reanimate half of them back and then
Well, there's very few units in the game that can kill a 20-man Necron unit in one go.
mm.
Hmm.
Next one down, Brotherhood of Veterans for 2 CP. Use the stratagem in the command phase. Select one Death Watch unit from the army, then select one chapter tactic or successor tactic. See the chaos, or man, I'm going to be saying chaos a lot because I see Codex. See Codex, Space Marines. Until end of the turn, models in that unit have the chapter tactic or successor tactic instead of the Xenos Hunter chapter tactics. So again, more ways to change stuff around.
So they can take a chapter tactic from any Space Marine chapter and
Hmm.
give it to themselves.
That's
Yep.
part of their
So,
fluff, where
well, it's
they're
true
just a
because
bunch of different armies put in one.
yeah, because like you can have one kill team that has an Ultramarine, a Space Wolf, an Iron Hand, like you name it, and that's all in there. So essentially, it's just one guy stepping up, being like, "We're using the Ultramarines," and then so you can use their benefits or.
Well, that plays really well in their picking their doctrine they're in because, for example, they could go into heavy, pop this, and then
Rip.
go into Iron Hand where they're re-rolling ones. They can move and fire heavy weapons. They get all that benefit.
Hmm. So again, like I'm already seeing some pretty good combos. Like it's from what
Oh,
I'm telling,
never
like
mind.
right now, Deathwatch is gonna be very CP heavy, situational heavy, but like you're saying, like Turn 1, you choose a doctrine, you use it, use a CP to pop it to go into something else, and you pop this one to go into another tactic trait, and then you benefit from that one now. So like there's a lot of playing around, but what I'm noticing is you're going to have to be very smart with how you're going to run this. You can't be just a player off the street like myself. I've never played Death Watch. I haven't played a whole lot of just basic Space Marines. I would probably struggle at first with these, just finding all the combinations. But if you have somebody that's been playing Death Watch for a while now, they're going to be pulling out all these combos. You're like, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah, I was actually mistaken. It's not doctrine abilities, it's the tactics. So they would get the Iron Hands 6+ Feel No Pain, and all their vehicles count as having double wounds characteristics.
And so, like Ultramarines, don't they have the whole you can unengage
Fall
and
back
still
and
fire?
shoot.
Yeah, so like you can do that, and then
Yeah, they can go through them and pick. That's
mhm,
pretty powerful.
again, it's 2 CP so far. Like I said, I haven't seen anything go over 2, but again, very situational, and if you pull it off at the right situation, could be very devastating for your opponent.
Gives you a lot of flexibility, in my
Oh, big
opinion.
time. And again, fluff wise, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Next one, disruptive lunge launch. Use a stratagem in the
Lunge.
movement. What's that?
Lunge.
Lunge, launch, whatever. Like I said, I bring you guys on to correct me. I can't speak. Use the stratagem in your movement phase. When a Death Watch jump pack unit, Indomitable kill team unit that contains an interceptor, uh, or Proteus kill team. Sorry, part here is a little bit blurred for me. Until the contained Vanguard veterans with a jump pack from your army falls back. That unit is eligible to shoot even though it fell back this turn.
That's really powerful on Inceptors.
The Inceptors have a lot of shots. I found out the hard way.
Next one, Teleportatum. 1 CP. Use a stratagem during deployment. Select one Deathwatch Infantry, Deathwatch Dreadnought, or Deathwatch Biker unit from your army. All models in that unit gain a teleport strike ability from the Space Marines Codex. You can only use this stratagem once unless you are playing a Strike Force battle, in which case you can use the stratagem twice, or an Onslaught battle, which you can use this 3 times. So again, depending on the size battle or how many points you're playing, will determine how many times you can actually use it.
Mm-hmm.
They can teleport a dreadnought. That is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not familiar with that ability, the teleport strike. Is it just like a free deep strike,
It's
basically?
Yeah, it's a free deep strike. So they can teleport a dreadnought within 9 inches of you, and it doesn't specify. Well, it has to be a Deathwatch dreadnought, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has to be Deathwatch Infantry, Deathwatch Dreadnought, or Deathwatch Biker.
even then, you can. I would be scared to have a dreadnought drop within 9 inches of me,
It's going to
wherever they
force your
want to
hand.
put it.
Yeah, but
Oh yeah,
saying you're playing a big game, drop 3 dreadnoughts right in front of you mid board, just boom, there, have fun.
imagine one being a Leviathan. That's
Mm.
just scary.
Next one down is Relentless Assault. Use a stratagem in the movement phase when a Deathwatch biker unit or a kill team unit that contains a veteran biker or outrider from your army falls back. That unit is eligible to charge even though it fell back this turn.
I
Man,
hope our
they get a
Drukhari gets
lot.
1 CP for that again.
What's that? Sorry, Brian?
I hope our Drukhari goes to 1 CP for that stuff.
Oh man, it'd be nice.
It's 2
They get a
CP.
lot of flexibility.
Oh
They
yeah.
have so much flexibility in this army. It's kind of nice.
Mm. But again, like I keep saying, it's like fluff wise, it's perfect because it's literally just kill teams of big
Everything.
fighters from every chapter you can
Every
think
faction.
of. Next one down, Shroud Field. Use the stratagem at the start of the first battle round. Select one Corvus Blackstar unit from your army. Until the end of the battle round, that unit cannot be selected as a target for range attacks unless it's the closest eligible target to be to the firing model.
Ouch. That's like Cloud of Flies.
2 CP, which is quite a bit, But Corvus Blackstar, that's essentially just the only flyer that Deathwatch has, correct?
I'm not sure.
I will go check now.
Corvus.
Yeah, because like I said, I don't even think anybody around this area actually plays Deathwatch, so
Yeah, there's a
haven't
flyer.
Yeah.
really. Okay, and that's what I kind of thought. Like they have just that one giant flyer,
Yeah.
so no, it'd be pretty good to have it. Like I said, right off the bat, and it started the battle round, so you don't even have to wait. Like say for Death Guard, where a cloud of flies, it has to be your turn to pop it. Here is
Yeah.
just start first battle round. Nope, you can't touch them.
I'm not sure the output that thing will do. I've never gone against it myself, so I don't know if it's worth spending 2 CP on, but if you're bringing it, why not?
Mm,
Well, if you have one, the thing is, it's like if you have that one flyer, most of the time it's going to get shot off the board anyway because it's the only vehicle. Making it untargetable is it's pretty beneficial if you only have that one flyer.
yeah.
Hmm.
Next one down, we have Clavis. Use this stratagem at the start of the fight phase. Select one enemy vehicle unit within 1 inch of a Watchmaster unit from your army. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Until the end of the phase, that unit is not eligible to fight after all eligible units from your army have done so.
I
That's
guess everybody just gets a Vexator mask now.
Well, you know what? Looking at that
1
counters
CP.
Dreadnoughts, Titans, like, well, I should say,
Even if they charge like my transports and stuff, he just pops that strat for 1 CP, does D3 mortal wounds to me.
and you can't
yep.
attack back until
So he's
everything
going
else
to
is
beat
fought.
my Venom until it dies, and chances are I'll lose my guys because he surrounded me.
That hurts knights. Like, just imagine a knight coming in, you do D3 wounds to it, and then it can't attack you until after you do all your attacks to it. You could either bring it down into another bracket, possibly. It's
Yeah, I doubt you're going to kill it in one turn fight, but
But where I can see this being used a lot more, especially now, if like say for example your units are already engaged, and like say if it's my turn, I'm attacking you, you get to attack me first. So you pop
yeah.
that at the beginning of that phase, and then now even though I did not charge you, I'm still attacking you first, and you still have to wait. So I can see that being used more there because if you charge in 2 or 3 units, more or less, you're going to be able to attack everything right off the bat before he swings back, anyways. So yeah, so this will be more or less during those turns where you're still stuck in combat and it's their go at you. So
yeah, I see it being used mainly on dreadnoughts or any like vehicle that's good in close combat, like a walker.
yeah. Next one down, special issued loadout. 2 CP. Use the stratagem in the shooting phase. When you select a Deathwatch infantry unit from your army to shoot, until the end of the phase, bolt weapons, excluding bolt sniper rifles, without the special issued ammunition ability. That model in that unit are equipped with the gain that special issue ammunition ability, and their type characteristic is changed to heavy 1. So we're for you, Justin, you play more Space Marines. So is there a benefit to this being able to switch up your weapons?
Well, the special issue like special issue ammunition, that is.
Well, I think before they used to be able to shoot you 4 times with their bolters and stuff, but this is only going to put it down to a heavy 1 now.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to think.
I
It's like,
think it's
what's the benefit
less
of?
shots. But
Well, they have
they
a.
get their weapons again.
Well, yeah, they get special issue ammunition. So it's like they roll a d6, or I'm pretty sure they get to select it. So number 1 is each time an attack is made with a weapon firing the special ammunition, destroys a Necron model unit at the end of the phase, reammunition. Yeah,
See, I'm not the only one.
yeah,
Reanimation
no,
protocol.
yeah, cannot be made for that attack for that
Mm,
model. That's just 1. And
yeah.
then 2 is Hell Spears. Each time an attack is made with a weapon firing this special issue ammunition against a demon or a psyker, invulnerable
I
saving
think they have
throws made
their
against that attack are only succeeded on an unmodified roll of 6.
I think they have their own kind of health, like special issue ammunition there on page 50. They got
Yep,
Dragon
that's what
Fire
I'm reading
bolts.
from.
Okay.
I see your Necron stuff there.
But I guess the question I have is what's so special about changing the characteristic to heavy one, I guess.
It's
Well,
not as overpowered.
yeah. So if their guns are considered rapid fire, they don't get the rapid fire 1 or rapid fire 2 abilities. It goes to a heavy,
Okay.
and they would take a -1 to shoot 2 if they moved and fired it.
Hmm.
Well, it's like their Hellfire rounds. Each time an attack is made with this weapon firing this special issue ammunition against a unit that does not have the vehicle or Titanic keyword, add 1 to the attacks and moon rolls. I don't want 4 coming from each guy doing that. I'd rather just have that 1. It's nice.
Hmm. Well, you know what? I'm just gonna throw it out there for anybody listening to this on YouTube. If you know what makes this so special about doing the changing, please leave a comment down there because I actually want to know for myself, like, what is the main purpose of this to be thrown as a heavy one compared to whatever its basic type would actually be. I would actually like to know.
Yeah, let us fellow Xenos guys know.
Yeah, well, let us know what we're running away from.
Well, I think it's situational. Like, just reading through them now, they all have like really niche, like, key points of when you should use them. Like, one is
They all
when
fill
you,
a different need.
yeah, so it's like the third one is each time the attack is made against, you subtract 6 from your range characteristic, but if you attack a vehicle, unmodified rune rolls of 4 plus always succeed.
Okay.
And then there's another one where the special issue ammunition has a type of characteristic of assault D3 and blast ability.
Okay.
Interesting.
One adds +1 attack and +1 armor characteristics to the attack. And then the last one, uh, fusion bolts. Each time an attack is made with a weapon firing the special ammunition, the target cannot use any abilities that allow them to ignore wounds. So it pretty much stops you from using Feel No Pains, number 6.
Okay.
That's gross. And that's probably why they changed it to a heavy 1s, because like it in the rule here it says you're changing your bolt weapons, and most bolters are what, rapid fire 2, rapid fire 3, or whatever. So
Well, they do.
you're
They
it's
can.
balancing it a bit, having less shots with that special issue ammunition than peppering your opponent with it and just deleting that unit.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Considering you can put Terminators in a unit that get Storm Bolters, which are rapid
Yeah.
fire 4. Like, they get rapid fire. They get 4 shots each.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I guess it hurts them a lot, but
And again, it's going to be one of those things that, like, there has to be a reason for it. It's probably going to be very situational. But like I said, I'm hoping somebody can actually just let us know what's that one key point that we're probably missing right now that's going to make you want to spend that 2 CP to give it that oomph. Like, you're obviously not going to be taking something away from yourself to be spending CP. There's obviously going to be some reason you're going to spend that 2 CP, throw it the heavy one on a unit, and it's obviously going to have to do more. Down the road, we're looking at the kill team specialisms. This one's going to be a little bit of a longer part, so we're going to try to just read everything into detail just to make sure we get the full benefit of this, because this to me seems like it's going to be one of the bigger parts as far as when you're actually assembling your kill teams. Like, this is where you're going to start getting a lot of the actual, like, group bonuses, and you're actually going to have to start paying extra points per unit by the looks of it to gain these abilities. So essentially, is if your army is battle forged and includes any Death Watch attachments, excluding auxiliary support, super heavy auxiliary, or fortification network attachments, then when you muster your army, you can upgrade any kill team units from your army to have a specialism. If you have a crusade force, it is also possible for some character units to gain a specialism as described on page 46. Each time you upgrade one of the
aforementioned.
aforementioned units, yeah, sorry about that, you must select the specialism it will have. Its power rating is increased as shown at the table below. If you are playing a match play game or a game that uses point limits, then the point value of that unit is also increased by the amount shown on the same table. Make a note on your army roster each time you upgrade a unit using these rules. Because I'm assuming you would definitely have to make sure you know exactly which unit is what. So starting off for the specialisms, you're going to have Aquila, which is a +1 power rating or plus 25 points. Dominus for +1 power or +1 or plus 25 points. Fior +2 power or 35 points. Malleus +2 power, 35 points. Purgatus for 1 power, 25 points, or Venator for 1 power, 25 points. So pretty much you're never going to be spending less than 25 or more than 35, which seems pretty reasonable, especially seeing with what some of these actually do. I think like because you can spend that many points on 2 special weapons and you're not going to get as much of a kick as some of the abilities. So each time you upgrade a unit to have a specialism, it gains a keyword that matches its specialism and its associated ability below. These units are considered to be the same data sheets for the purpose of any mission rules that limit the number of times any particular data sheet can be included in your army. With the exception of Kill Team Cassius, a Crusade force cannot start with any upgrade or any unit upgraded in this manner. To include one in a Crusade force, you must use Kill Team Specialism requisitions. It's on page 44. An army and a crusade army cannot contain more than 1 Kill Team unit with the same specialisms. Armies cannot contain 2 Venator Kill Team units or 2 Dominus Kill Teams. So it's making it so like if you have a unit, you have like 6 different units and you want to pay the extra, they are going to have to be each different one. You're not going to be able to stack. With the exceptions of units upgraded using the Master of Specialisms rules. So I should have kept reading, but there is obviously, just like everything else, there's going to be some small exceptions, but not a full-blown whole army-wide. So pretty much, so Kill Team Cassius. If your army is Battleforged and includes Kill Team Cassius as part of any Deathwatch detachment, again excluding auxiliary support detachments, that unit is upgraded to have the Aquila specialism, even if this would cause your army to contain more than one unit with the same specialism. Okay, so here's another way. So you could potentially have 2 Aquilas. This upgrade does not increase the power rating or points value of that unit and does not prevent you from upgrading another unit to have the Aquila specialisms. Okay, so by the looks of it, like you will be able to use Aquila as long as you're using the Kill Team Cassius for free once. Then you'd be able to pay again to have a second one. But by the looks of it, Aquila is probably the only one you're going to be able to do. So from here, what I'll do is I'll give you guys a chance to jump in here. Brian, if you want to go down to Aquila, Venator, and Malleus, and then Justin, you can take over afterwards to do Dominus, Fior, and Purgatus.
Sounds good, Dan. For the Aquila, after selecting a battlefield role for the purposes of the Xenos Hunter's chapter tactic for your army, see the Codex Space Marines, select one additional battlefield role. Until the end of the battle, each time a model in this unit makes an attack against an enemy unit with either of the selected battlefield roles, re-roll a wound roll of 1.
That's actually pretty good because for you guys, like if you don't know exactly what their hunter chapter is, essentially you take a battlefield role. So like you could be troops, elites, fast, HQ, whatever it is, and you're re-rolling wound rolls of 1. But to have a unit be able to do that on 2, that could be pretty big actually. You can choose core and elite, especially like if they're doing like outrider or whatever it is that they're doing. They're going to be obviously specializing a little bit more in one battle role. It'd be nice to have like a core unit just be able to take care of them.
100%. The Venator, each time a model in this unit makes an attack against an enemy unit with the fast attack or flyer battlefield roll, re-roll the wound rolls of 1. If you selected the fast attack or flyer battlefield roll for the Xenos Hunter's chapter tactic, each time a model in this unit makes an attack against an enemy unit with a battlefield roll, you can re-roll the wound roll.
So instead of just 1, you're doing it all.
Because the first point allows you to re-roll the wound rolls of 1, but each time a model in this unit makes an attack against an enemy unit with that battlefield roll, so I assume it's the fast attack or the flyer, whatever roll you chose it, you get to re-roll the wound rolls.
Yeah, so not just ones, you're just doing all of it. So
yeah.
Then, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, well, especially with the flyer we were talking about earlier, it can target our
the Corvus Blacks are
everything. The next one on the list is Malleus. Each time a model in the unit makes an attack against an enemy unit with the heavy support, Lord of War, or Dedicated Transport battlefield roll, reroll the wound roll of 1. If you selected the Heavy Support, Lord of War, or Dedicated Transport battlefield roll for the Xenos Hunters chapter tactic, each time a model in this unit makes an attack against an enemy unit with that battlefield roll, you can reroll the wound roll. So it's
Okay, so
basically just giving you an option to reroll the wound rolls based on whatever unit you're giving it to. So if you're giving it to your heavies, you're rerolling all failed wounds on other heavies.
mhm.
That's the way I'm seeing it.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
one thing that's going to be kind of different about this is like, especially whenever like let's talk tournaments for a sec. When
Mhm.
you submit a tournament list, whatever is on your sheet is final, like as far
Yeah.
as psychic powers, everything at all. So these specialisms are on your actual roster sheet. They cannot be changed. So if you're upgrading certain units by paying these points, depending on who you're playing, you're not able to change them. So again, so you're gonna have to almost be very smart with how you are doing it. But again, like these are very well like to have your like good chunk of your army being able to just reroll all wound rolls. Like that's huge.
Well, to be honest, it actually, for the Deathwatch Xeno Hunters, it's after both sides have finished deploying their armies is when you select a battlefield role. So you get to see what your opponent is fielding and then pick the battlefield role that you think is going to benefit you. Just having these specialists like kill teams in it is going to it helps.
Yeah. Oh
So it's
no.
like,
Oh no, definitely. Like I do get what you're saying, but it's like a lot of these obviously are specific to certain battlefield roles. So like you can choose like say for example if you upgraded a couple of them to do like the flying or the fast. Which one was that? The
That
Venator.
was Venator.
But now like say if you're facing a an army that they didn't take any of them, so now that unit is not really going to be able to do much at all. Like they'll benefit off whatever the basic trait that you guys take, but they won't be able to ever get to the whole roll
But
all runes.
I
But
mean,
obviously, you're going to have other ones that are going to probably take it if you do end up paying more. But say if you're somebody that just decides to take 2 units and you're only upgrading Aquila and Dominus, that is it. But then you don't see yourself using them. So it was almost like a waste of points against that one game. It might not always happen that way, but do you get what I mean by how it's going to
yeah,
be?
I could see the Malleus one being used more because a lot of armies have heavy supports and dedicated
well, the
transports
dedicated
now.
transports, yeah.
That would be the big one, yeah. But like as far as Venator, that's going to be very iffy because, like I said, like I've played many games where I haven't seen no fast attacks or flyers.
Flyers kind of
Especially,
disappeared in ninth.
well, I find ninth is now it's the time of the foot troops because
Yeah.
everything you want objective secure, you want bodies on objectives, you want to be able to block stuff, and that's why you're starting to see a lot more of that.
Well, it's like when's the last time you ran your planes and stuff? It's going to be 8th edition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No. All right, Justin, if you want to take her over.
Yeah, Dominus. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack against an enemy unit with the elite battlefield roll, reroll a wound roll of 1. If you selected the elite's battlefield roll for the Xenos chapter tactic, see Codex Space Marines, each time a model in that unit makes an attack against an enemy with the battlefield roll, you get to reroll the wound roll.
Yeah, so we're obviously seeing a trend. So every one of these obviously is going to be specialized in one of the battlefield roles.
Yeah, so pretty much whatever you pick for your secondary, it's either you're going to get to reroll ones or you're going to get to reroll all wounds for the wound rolls.
Exactly. But in a way, it's kind of nice though. Like you pick the battle trait right off the bat. So obviously elites. But then you're still going to have all these other units that are going to be specialized in other ones. So you're at least still going to be getting the reroll ones. It might
Yeah,
not necessarily
it's going to
be
be well
all,
rounded.
but like I said, a good chunk of
Yeah,
your army, regardless, is going to be rerolling ones to wound almost everything as long as you're spending the extra points.
Fiero. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack against an enemy unit with a troop battlefield roll, reroll a wound roll of 1 for that attack. If selected the troop's battlefield roll for the Xenos chapter, Hunter's chapter tactic, see Codex Space Marines. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack against an enemy unit with the battlefield roll, you can reroll the wound roll. So if
Okay.
you select it, and Pregatus, each time a model in this unit makes an attack against an enemy unit with the HQ battlefield roll, reroll a wound roll of 1. If selected the HQ battlefield role for the Xenos Hunters Chapter Tactics, see Codex Space Marines, each time a model in this unit makes an attack against an enemy unit with the battlefield roll, you can re-roll the wound roll. But what we've been forgetting about the whole time we were talking about the Xenos Hunters Chapter Tactic is if you each time a model in this unit makes an attack against a Tyranid, Eldari, Orc, Necrons, or Tau unit, it also gets to re-roll the hit rolls of 1.
Oh, so if you're going up against the Xenos army, you're automatically doing hits and wounds. So like now on top of,
You pretty
but
much
but
don't
what's
need
nice
it.
about this stuff is you can use it against anybody. But if you're against the Xenos, you're just getting an even added bonus, more or less.
100%.
Yeah, pretty much.
I see Fuhrer being the best choice right now in this edition, where troops are such a big deal with the way the game has gone. But
Oh no, definitely.
Yeah, because if you look at it, Fior is 35 points. But the thing is,
For good reason. That's probably why, because they know, for example, that's going to get used the
every
most.
army has troops.
Actually, you know what?
Yeah.
If you actually look at it, there's only 2 specialisms that are 35 points. It's Fjord and Malice, and Malice is the other one for
Heavy support
dedicated
for the
and
wars.
dedicated transport. So you look at any army list, I can bet you 2 to
Dark
1.
Eldar.
Well, no, like you have troops and you have vehicles.
Yeah.
You don't see a whole lot of elites. You don't see a whole lot of fast attacks. You're just more or less seeing those 2. So they're the smartest ones to take, and you're gonna get the most bang for your buck paying the extra 35 points.
Yeah, definitely. But also, it kind of eliminates key components in your army. Like, they don't really need a lieutenant or a captain, depending on, like, well, realistically, they don't really need a lieutenant. They could have a captain because of the reroll 1s on to hit for non-Xenos. But without it, if they're fighting a Xenos army, they don't need the captain nearby.
No. But again, like I
Yeah.
said, like chances are how many times you're gonna fight, like say you're in a tournament and you're gonna fight 3 Xenos armies. You're always gonna see some chaos. You're gonna see some Imperium and
Yeah, and right now, where Space Marines are getting all their books, it's heavily Space Marines.
Oh yeah.
Come January,
Yeah.
when we start seeing the Drukhari, you might see a couple Drukhari players pop up, but it's still going to be Space Marine heavy.
Yeah, I can see them using a captain, but a lieutenant, now that they can just use these specialist kill teams, you can almost cover what a lieutenant does on certain things.
No, definitely.
No, overall, I think it's really good. I like it.
No,
I like it a lot.
But yeah, so pretty much right now we're actually already almost at time for this episode. So I think what we're gonna do is we'll call it quits right here because obviously they had a lot of stratagems and there was a lot to talk about.
Yeah, and then we go into the
Exactly. So I think what we'll do is we'll make this a 2-part series because I really don't want to rush this because there is still quite a bit of important information coming out of this. Like we still got warlord traits, we still got relics, their discipline, and each codex that's coming out, it's kind of giving them their own chapter approved rules. So when you're choosing your secondaries and stuff that actually fits the army itself. And if we have enough time, like it'd be nice to actually go through some of the key characters or name characters or units that's actually special to them. And
they have a lot of unique stuff.
Exactly. So I think as the codexes come out, depending on how fast we can get through them, a lot of them we'll try to do them in 2-part series. And just so that way we can take our time with it, because I really don't want to be rushing through these. Like I want to, as much as you guys want to know what these are doing, I want to know myself. Like I want to go through these codexes and really understand what each of these factions could do. So when I do face them, I'm not going to get my ass kicked and I'll actually know what hit me. But yeah, no. So for this episode, like I said, we'll call it here. So thanks again, Brian and Justin, for joining me on this one. And we'll be getting soon to part 2, and we'll discuss the rest of the Death Watch, guys.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, man.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.